Hey everyone, Andrew Kircher here with Port Huron Museums. I know it's been a hot second because it has been such a busy summer. Lots going on at the museum, but things are winding down. In fact, for once, we don't actually have a kind of a special event going on at the museum. So I had the opportunity to come to one of my absolute favorite events in Michigan anyway. I'm not in Port Huron today, but I found a really cool Port Huron connection I wanted to share with everyone. So you can see I'm kind of dressed, I've got some of my 1920s finery on. And as you look around, you might recognize where we are. We are at Greenfield Village. It is the Old Car Festival, which is a major car show every year, featuring hundreds of cars from before 1932, which is pretty awesome. But there's one car in particular I wanted to show off to everyone, and it's right here. It's the Havers. This car actually lives in Port Huron, but I don't think we see it a whole lot. It's a very nice car. This is the Havers. This is a 1912, and this is actually owned right up here, Terry and Rita Ernest. And the Havers was built in Port Huron. I believe the McMorrans were actually a major investors. There were quite a few big names involved in investing in this company. They bought out the old EMF plant. So the EMS factory, EMF is Evans, Metzger's, Flanders. They were making those cars in Port Huron as well. And they made those cars, as I mentioned, at that old EMF plant, which is basically where the customs bridge plaza is. And they eventually were bought out. Havers bought the old factory. They made them for just a few years, but there was a pretty disastrous fire in 1914. So after the car company, or after the factory burned, they just weren't able to restart production. So a beautiful car with a beautiful piece of Port Huron history. Beautifully restored. I've seen this at some Concours d'Elegance. I've seen it at quite a few car shows, but I thought we had time. It's in the shade. That this would be a really awesome piece of local history. There's actually only a couple of these left. I think there are 3. And in fact, the Port Huron Museums is the owner of another one, which is not nearly as well restored as this. It's actually partially restored. It's down in Marysville. We'd love to find a place to put it at the museum, a way to bring it back into Port Huron, maybe do some more work on it. It was running about a decade ago. It was in parade, you may have seen it, but space is kind of a concern, and I don't have a good answer. So maybe somebody else has a great brainstorm of how to fit that into the museum, where it would fit. It's always hard to fit a car inside when you're not in a garage. But an amazing piece of Port Huron history. Survived the fire. Quite a few Havers were even sent to Russia in about 1911. There are some great pictures of about half a dozen of them parked in front of the Harrington Hotel. So, Detroit's the Motor City, of course. Michigan's so well known with automobile manufacturing. Port Huron has several chapters. There was, as I mentioned, EMF. There was some Studebaker manufacturing going on, but this is one of the car companies that was based in Port Huron and manufactured these about 110 years ago. Anyway, just one of the hundreds of cars you can see down here at Greenfield Village. It's not often that I advocate people go to another museum besides Port Huron Museums. Port Huron Museums are great. I do think you should go. But also, if you've been, you may be looking for something different. If you've never been to the Old Car Festival at Greenfield Village, it is a really cool experience. It's one of my favorite things to do every year. So I got a lot more cars to look at. I'm going to go back to enjoying what is technically my day off. But I saw that piece of Port Huron history. Had to share it with all of you. I know we haven't done a live video in a little while. Hopefully this fall we'll be able to get back to doing some more of these a little bit more frequently. Maybe we'll do a special on the museum's Havers and what it might take to get it going again. I smell a fundraising opportunity, right? So until next time, this is some history of your own backyard that's somewhere else down in Detroit, so you can come see it. So we'll catch you on the flip side. Take care.